Okay, so we already have discussed the frequency response of the gain term, right? The amplitude. Gain is related to the amplitude. That means how the amplitude has been amplified is actually related to the gain. So we already have discussed the effect of frequency in the amplitude and have shown you the plot with different frequency, right? However, apart from amplitude, there is another term which is very important, or another parameter which is very important, which is associated with the signal, which is known as phase. I also have discussed this particular parameter, and I also have mentioned that in case of CS, that common source amplifier, the phase of output and input is 180 degree apart. That means, what does 180 degree difference in phase mean? If something is positive a V in the input side, your output will be negative, right? So this phase shift also matters. So this will also be seen when we study this frequency response. So here I have shown you, if you have a function x plus ij, x plus jy or iy, we generally say it jy in the circuit analysis. So if the function is x plus jy, then your phase will be tan inverse y by x or theta. Now in this case, if y equal to x, your tan inverse y by x will be tan inverse 1, which is 45 degree. If y equal to 0, then it will be tan inverse 0, that means 0 degree. If x equal to 0 or y tends to infinity, then your tan inverse y by x will be tan inverse infinite, that means 90 degree or 10 to 90 degree. So this is the simple mathematics, okay? And for frequency response, we also get the similar thing. Say you have a signal which has a frequency omega, and you have another signal which has a frequency of omega 0. So tan inverse omega by omega 0 will depend on whether omega is equal to omega 0 or not, or what is the difference. So if you consider omega equal to omega 0, you will find your phase is 45 degree because it's tan inverse 1. Now consider omega equal to 0.1 of omega 0. That means it is tan inverse 0.1, which is almost 0 degree. If you consider omega equal to 10 omega 0, then your theta will be tan inverse 10, which is almost 90 degree. Now what I want to say by this particular analysis is that theta changes almost 45 degree per decade. I already explained what is a decade. If your x-axis is in the log scale, if your x-axis is changing by 10 times. So your omega is changing from omega 0 to 0.1 omega 0 and then to 10 omega 0. So it's 1 by omega 0 by 10 in one case, and this is omega 0 by 10 in one case, and in the next case it is omega 0 into 10. So it is also changing 45 degree per decade. Now from this information, we can draw a phase response of the gain term. Previously it was amplitude. We did not consider the phase. Now if you draw the phase response, you will find that f equal to 1 by 2 pi tau s. I already have shown you how did I analyze the previous plot. Similar approach I am following here. So if it is 1 by 2 pi tau s, you will have a phase of 45 degree. Now it is 1/10, then you will find it is almost 90 degree, right? If it is 10 times, then it will be almost 0. So your phase response will be something like this, and this term or this point is known as corner frequency. So these are the corner frequencies. In corner frequency, your transfer function tend to infinite, which indicates it is a pole. Generally, if you have a pole, your transfer function tend to infinite, right? So this is just a generalized idea of phase response, how phase response changes with frequency. Okay, so here also you'll see that we consider two straight lines, but in ideal case or in real curve it is actually not straight lines that is touching. So I already have said that this is all this particular theory is given by Bode. So phase response and this amplitude, whatever I have shown previously, the frequency response, both are known as Bode plot. Okay, and this is very important as well. So we will see in coming lectures. Now, what is the significance of pole and zero? Just to give you an idea, consider a function, okay, which is, say it's a gain, which is constant with frequency for some time. And then, if you find there is a pole at, say, omega equal to omega p1, omega equal to omega p1, if you find a pole, P stands for pole, okay, here just for the sake of simplicity I kept omega equal to omega p1, and if it is a 0, omega equal to omega z1. I will consider omega is equal to omega z1. So if you find a pole at omega equal to omega p1, then you will find that your gain function is decreasing and the slope of that function will become minus 20 dB per decade. I already have shown for a pole. For each pole you will find your function or your plot is decreasing by minus 20 dB per decade. Now say at omega p2 you have another pole. Now in this particular point your plot will further decrease by minus 20 dB per decade. So what you are getting essentially in this case, it will be minus 40 dB per decade. However, say at WP1 you have a 0 as well. That means WP1 is equal to WZ1. If you get a 0 at certain point, your function will start increasing. It is in the numerator, right? The 0 things are in the numerator. So if you find a 0 at, say, WZ1, where WZ1 and WP1 is equal, you will find your gain is increasing at a rate of 20 dB per decade. The slope of this curve will be 20 dB per decade, plus 20 dB. Now if you consider these two curves, so your pole is getting compensated by 0 and you will get again a constant gain up till WP2. Again in WP2 you have another pole but you don't have a 0, so your net decrease will be again minus 20 dB per decade. If there is no 0, it was minus 40, but you have a 0 which is always there after Z1 or WP1, so you will find the net decrease or the net slope now is minus 20 dB per decade. So in this point you have compensated one pole by using a 0. So this is called pole 0 compensation. Okay. Now this type of plot actually gives you the information about stability, and then when you use a feedback you can actually tweak those parameters that I will discuss in coming slides. Okay, so this is the basic concept. So you already have a function and then you have a pole, you compensate it by 0, you will find your gain is constant. So this way you can actually, what you can do, you can actually increase your bandwidth. Previously your bandwidth was at WP1 till WP1, because till WP1 it was constant, and when you can actually incorporate a 0 at that point and can make it further constant till WP2, the next pole, right? So that way you can play around with the circuit and you can increase the gain to some extent. Okay, so this is why the pole 0 part is important. So let us see some of the examples. Previously I have shown you one pole circuit. Let us bring in two pole circuit. So previously, if you remember, you have only one capacitance. Now each capacitance gives you one pole. So for two pole circuit, how many capacitances do you need? You need two capacitances. So we put two capacitances. Each time constant is associated one pole. Is associated with one pole. Each time constant is associated with one pole. This is the rule. So in this case, you have two time constant because you have two RCs. So you will have two pole. Just the equivalent circuit I have shown here. For this RC value, you have a Z1 which is parallel to this RC arrangement. So you have another impedance Z2. Now what will be your output V0? Your V0 will be just like a voltage divider, Z2 divided by Z1 plus Z2 into Vin. So I did not do entire circuit analysis. This is very simple circuit, so you can do it in your home. So finally what you will get, V0 by Vin is something like this. So in this case, you have two time constant, as I have said, tau s equal to Rs plus Rp Cs, and tau p. Tau s means series. For the series combination, it is Rs plus Rp Cs. For tau p, it is Rs parallel Rp Cp. Okay. So this is the time constant associated with that. Now if you see the denominator of that AVS value, you will see that it's actually a quadratic equation. So you have s square term in the denominator. So how many roots do you have? This roots you will find of this equation? Two roots. So you have two poles. Generally when you calculate poles, what you do? You put denominator equal to 0. Now if a quadratic equation is there in the denominator and if you put this equal to 0, you will find two values of s, right? And from there you will get two zero values. So it's also very evident from the circuit itself that you have two poles. Okay. Now tau s is known as open circuit time constant when Cp 1 by Cps tend to infinite. That means when this is almost open circuit, if this value is the impedance associated with this, right? If it is almost infinite, that means this is open circuit. Now if this is almost open circuit, the time constant associated with this is known as open circuit time constant. However, similarly, you will find tau p is short circuit time constant. That means when you consider this as short circuit, then what will be the value of 1 by Cs into S? 10 to 0, right? Now when it is possible, your S is j omega, right? So when it is at what condition this value will become 0? When your omega value is very high, because you have a constant Cs. Now for high frequency, you will find this value is almost 0. So in that case, tau p will act as a short circuit time constant. This time constant will be valid. The other one is almost 0, right? Because the whole impedance is acting as a short circuit. Similarly, when your omega is very low, the impedance of this will be very high. So you will have tau s, the open circuit time constant. So let us consider this is omega 1, this is omega 2. Now if you see this thing in the plot, say this is your omega axis. You have omega 1 here, omega 2 here. Okay. Now what is the parameters that decide the value omega 1 and omega 2? If you see here, or which decides the value of tau s and tau p? The value of Rs components, right? Now if you change the Rs component values, you can easily shift omega 1 and omega 2 in this omega axis. So you can make them even go away from each other, which is known as pole splitting. You can make them go away from each other, which is known as pole splitting. And also you can choose such values of Rs which will bring them closer. So your control now is on the RC values. Okay. So for two time constant, you will have associated two poles. So if you consider the FL value, which is 1 by 2 pi tau s, will be your lower corner frequency, and your FH value 1 by 2 pi tau p will be your higher corner frequency or 3 dB frequency. Okay, so your FL, if you plot it in the graph, that means the gain magnitude and frequency, gain magnitude versus frequency graph, you will find a function like this. So in this case, you have a constant gain from FL to FH. What does it mean? That means your bandwidth is from FL to FH. So you have a bandwidth of FH minus FL. This is known as mid-band frequency. And you can change the value of FL and FH by changing the tau s and tau p. And tau s and tau p can be changed using the value of RS components, right? So you can actually get a higher bandwidth if you choose those values wisely. So if you look at this particular function, what is this characteristics known as with respect to frequency? Only a band of frequency is allowed in this particular case, which is known as band pass filter, right? So this characteristics is more or less like a band pass filter. In fact, you can also create high pass filter, and this forget about FH. If you don't consider FH and if you see only FL, you have a characteristics like that, which is high pass filter. It blocks the lower frequencies, so it only allows the higher frequencies, and this FL is the cutoff frequency. Now you can choose this value of FL by adjusting tau s. Similarly, you can also create low pass filter just by adjusting the value of FH. Don't consider FL in this case. You can also make other filters like band reject filter, right? Just by changing the values of FL and FH. If you adjust those values, you will find you can also create different filter circuit as well. But in this case, all of them are passive filters, right? Because we are analyzing passive circuits. So far, we have not seen any amplifier. We will bring in slowly. Now it's kind of a basic concept of pole zero, so that you can connect to the pole zero of these amplifier circuits easily, right?